Tired of dealing with annoying flies, fruit flies, and gnats in your home? The Zevo Flying Insect Trap is your ultimate solution. Don't wait. Check out the link in the video description now to get your Zevo Flying Insect Trap on Amazon and enjoy a bug-free home today.
Tom Hughes only planned to go to Eastern Europe for a few days to help with the aid effort when the war in Ukraine broke out in 2022. After being appalled by what he saw on the news, he dropped everything and took a cheap flight to Poland to see if he could help out. I thought, it's a 30-pound flight on Ryanair. It will take me 3 hours to get there. So I'm going to pop down to the border. I never thought it would become 2.5 years, says Tom, from Hinton in Wiltshire. Since then, he's witnessed traumatic events, had his own life endangered, and seen his mental health affected by the horrors of living in a war zone. But, as head of field operations for Charity Hopeful, he has also served hundreds of thousands of pizzas to the cold, hungry, and desperate Ukrainians who he worries are starting to lose hope. Tom, 43, is the ultimate hype man. Dressed in a kilt in Ukrainian colors, he and his team of intrepid volunteers travel the besieged nation in a bid to bring joy and nourishment. The teams visit barracks, villages, and towns across Ukraine, bringing hot food, booming music, colorful face paint and a party atmosphere to communities devastated by war. Speaking to U.S. News from a village 20 miles east of Kharkiv, Tom says, "Out here on the eastern end, there's very little help going on, and people are relatively isolated. Most of the villages and towns are living under the threat of missiles. The schools are all closed because they don't have bomb shelters, the kids are all deeply unsocialized and communities are broken down. It's been really effective turning up with a whole load of hot pizzas, which are really aspirational food here, and putting on music through the speakers and dancing around and being a fool to reinvigorate the essence of community. It's really hard to get your head around until you see how desperate people are here. Just yet seeing Westerners prepared to come and help under the same skies, with the same bombs, makes people feel a lot less desperate." The stories Tom hears daily are heartbreaking. Whether it's the army captain showing him the hundreds of beds left empty by dead soldiers, their kit still on the sheets, or the bereaved mother begging Tom to find her son when he visits the next bomb-shattered city, stories of loss abound. He has 2 traveling units who deliver around 3,500 pizzas a day, the Eastern team who serve the communities behind the front lines, and a quieter, more peaceful Western team, based in Lviv. It was a system developed through frightening trial and error. In the beginning, it was very intense because we were going into towns that have been occupied and heavily abused. Tom explains the Russians scatter landmines everywhere when they leave, so you'd hear people getting blown up all the time. There's no water, no electricity, no food, so they're very scary towns to go into, and a really devastated population who are starving. It was a very full-on time through to the liberation of Kherson in October and November 22nd, where we went into the city and the Russians had just crossed the Dnipro River in their retreat. As we arrived, they started their revenge bombardment of that city, and that was the first time we experienced being shelled by artillery. It was absolutely terrifying. We just finished our 5th day in the city, and it had been very loud all day. We packed up very quickly, and as we were driving out, we had a set of shells coming around the convoy. The explosion started off behind us, and the last one came in about 50 yards ahead of me to the right. I just drove as fast as I could. I'm more experienced now, and now know that if targeted you stop and throw yourself to the ground away from the vehicle, because the vehicle is the target. But I just put my foot down. We were lucky no one was hurt. After the terrifying experience, Tom decided the trucks would remain 25 kilometers back from the Russian guns to keep the volunteers safe. It wasn't his only brush with death. As a humanitarian, Tom and his teams are targets, so he moves around hotels to reduce the likelihood of being attacked. He recently dodged an FPV suicide drone, another experience that has left him jittery and hypervigilant. The board of the charity have decided he must go back to the UK for a break every 6 weeks to preserve his mental health. Seeing anything in the sky makes anyone who's been here too long jump out of their skin. Aeroplane.